Welcome to Indie Spotlight, where we are going to highlight an indie developer. It's tough out there for indie developers, and frankly, they need all the help they can get against these massive AAA games and budgets. Guess what? There are indie developers still building games for the Amiga, the PlayStation 1, and yes, the game will also run on PC. And that's what our next guest is doing. I've had a chance to look at this incredible new game called UrbX. My guest today is Stoo Cambridge, formerly of Sensible Software, co-founder of Brazen Gameplay, artist, illustrator, game designer, and he joins me now from the UK. Stoo, great to see you. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Clayton. Thanks for having me on. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. My pleasure. And, I think you and I connected because I was talking about indie games on my show, and you just sent me a kind message because I think I mentioned something about how difficult it is for indie games to get coverage, for people to be aware of indie games specifically. And you said, Clayton, you're absolutely right. It's very difficult for us. We've been working on this game for years now, and we wish we had the budget of these big AAA studios to get the message out, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, when you think back to, I don't know, 20 years ago, you'd have to go to a publisher and then they would say yay or nay to a project. So it was all in their hands. And then they would take the project and they would put all the marketing budget behind it, all the producers, all that kind of production stuff. But when you're an indie developer, you've got to do it all yourself. So that comes from developing the game, marketing, all the marketing imagery, videos, publicity, everything yourself. So you have to kind of have a plan of action. If you don't have a plan of action, you see a lot of developers, they might be working on some fantastic stuff, but if nobody gets to see it, you're wasting your time. So we've taken the approach that we're going to do it and we're going to do it properly. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And we've both got, Tony Warren and myself are very experienced in game development. We've been doing this for like 30 odd years. We're pretty old school. And we thought, why not? Why not give it a go? Use all those years of
So how big is your
experience and
team?
push it. Two. There's
Two.
two of us. It's two. Tony does all the programming and design, and I do all the art and illustration design. And we've got some ancillary helpers, like we've got Richard who's doing the music and sound effects for us, and we've got Paul who's doing testing. We've got a few other testers who are bringing in just to help find all those nasty bugs that always come out when you don't need them. But yeah, very small team. And but it works great because you've got no board meetings to attend to decide whether that feature goes in or that feature goes in. It's literally we're on chat and we go, got a great idea, is it going to work? Yeah, let's do it. And it'll go in.
So I want to get into the game. I want to talk about the game, but I want to I'm always fascinated on the creative side, how you guys came up with this. Was this, the two of you guys sitting over pints at a local pub? I mean, that's my American romanticism of what Brits, what you guys would do, that you guys are sitting there at the King's Arms pub or something, and there's a fire in the fireplace, and you're having a pint, and you're just kicking around ideas, and you're saying, you know what, here's the idea that I had from an art perspective, and you start sharing ideas, and boom, it's born. Or was that? Am I on track with that?
Um, there is a small amount of truth in that. That normally happens after. So it was actually by chance because we've got a mutual friend who's just got into publishing. He's published books and magazines over in the UK, and he distributes to Europe as well. And that's Chris Wilkins, who does Fusion Retro, who does Zap 64 magazine, Crash magazine. And he approached us to do a game for the Spectrum Next, which is quite a niche machine. And the project didn't happen. We started working on it. And we had about 3 weeks in, and we had this engine that we developed. And I did some concept graphics. I'd created a character, and it didn't happen. And we thought, well, we've kind of like worked on this idea. Why don't we try and just turn something out fairly quickly, just to recoup that time we've spent on it? And because we've been doing this for years, and we're known for AAA titles, back in the 80s and 90s. So we thought, well, if we're going to do it properly, we might as well do the job from start to finish and see it through. So we'll come up with something that's much bigger than just turning out a little game. And we got talking because, bearing in mind, Clayton, that we'd never actually worked together before. We'd known each other from our respective work, our projects, but we'd never actually worked together before. So we thought, well, we're both in our mid-50s, we're getting on a bit. So and we thought, let's give it a shot. let's give it a shot. And we just talked about what sort of games we wanted to do. And we're both big fans of the 80s and 90s arcade games before it got all kind of like over monetized, where it's literally put your coin in the slot and it's all skill based. The better you are at the game, the more you get through and progress into it. And we liked games like, like Commando, Ikari Warriors, Gauntlet, all those sorts of games where you've got action. It's always lots of action and rewards and things to pick up. But Tony's background is adventure, point and click adventure games. And my background is more pick up and play arcadey style games. So between us, we've had this idea to do a game which is based on urban exploring. And we're both fans of that, but I don't do it. And I just like to look at them on YouTube. But I'm fascinated by the idea that you're exploring all these relics, these old buildings, and it's all run down and you see all these weird things. And we just started talking and we said, well, what if you stumbled into something and you find something that nobody else has discovered, and it takes you darker into this dark place, it's deeper, and you end up seeing this stuff that you think, wow, and it takes you on this journey. Fast forward a little bit and we developed the idea, and I've got an interest in like South American culture, like Lake Titicaca, the Puma Punku, Teotihuacan, places like that, where you've got the all that kind of like South American stuff going on. And I decided, I thought, why don't we set it in that part of the world? Because nobody does that sort of stuff. They always kind of go to Egypt, or we go to ancient Egypt. And I thought that'll give it a more of a unique twist. So I started thinking about it, and the idea is that you're two urban explorers. They're South American, and they're exploring the Greenlands and the ancient ruins around Lake Titicaca. And it's a fictitious location. We didn't want to pin it onto one specific location, so it's quite broad where we're going to be with it. And you find what you think is an ancient temple buried under the rocks. You find this entrance, and they both looking around. They look through it, and they think they're in a temple. But as they go deeper in, they realize it's not a temple because it gets darker and more strange. And it becomes quite evident that there's something dark in there. And it's actually a lost city of the dead, hence the whole zombie thing that we've put into it.
I love that. I mean, you're right. No one really does. I'm just taking it all in. I'm just sitting here going, yes, when can I play this game? When can I play this game? When can I play this game? So, no, you're right about that. We always hear ancient Egypt. We always get that piece of it. There's a lot set in, sort of urban environments. I just finished playing a game called Katana Zero. Great, by Devolver Digital that published that. I had a lot of fun with that, but you're in an urban environment going through office buildings, sort of decrepit office buildings and police stations and things like that. We've seen cyberpunk. We see obviously these environments. These sort of post-apocalyptic environments. So I love the idea of being able to go down to like Graham Hancock style to South America and exploring these like ruins. It's a great idea.
Yeah. I mean, Graham Hancock's work is just fantastic, and I've been following his work for quite some years. And he did that documentary on Netflix, which was superb. And a lot of that material that he puts out there, we as designers can draw from that and go, yeah, let's take that idea and we can kind of run in our own direction with it. And this is pretty much what we've done with the game, because we have got plans to do other games later on. So this is the first project we're doing as Brazen Gameplay, which is the company name. But the whole urban explorer and kind of genre, we've got about a 2-year action plan ahead of us. We've already set out plans for, and there will be another title which will be more urban, which will be set somewhere else later on. But yeah, I mean the richness of that landscape is just creative food. You can almost overdose on it when you look at all the ancient carvings and the architecture, and it gets your mind wondering what was this? The precision cuts and all these blocks. They think, did they have ancient technology that we don't know about? And as a game designer, you can draw that in and you go, yeah, we could put that in and we could put that in. And because it's your own creation, you can kind of throw away bits that you don't want and include bits that really kind of add to the narrative. And that's exactly what we've been doing with the whole design of the game.
Nick Redfern, friend of the show, he has written, a number of books on the paranormal. He wrote obviously books about the pyramids, but his, and it seems like there's a bunch of evidence to suggest that sound resonance was used to lift blocks, move blocks, some sort of sound, vibrational technology was used to move these things, stuff that we can only dream of, and that happened like thousands of years ago. So, yeah, it's such a rich playground for you. And it just the stuff. By the way, we're showing images here on the screen, box art promo, and some raw game footage here, so people can see what we're looking at here. But I see zombies, I see treasure chests. I see, I see these deep caverns here. I see loot. I see gold. I see skulls. I mean, this is everything I'd want as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, we try to include all the stuff that retro gaming is about, but bring it up to date a little bit with the engine we've developed. So we're tapping into that stuff that we all like. We love, like play Gauntlet, and you play like Commando, and you pick up like a box of grenades, or you're adventuring down a corridor, and you see some loot, and you think, oh, I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to grab that. But the great thing as a game designer is you put these things in, and you can steer the player through a level because they want to collect some coins, or they want to see some food. And you can take them on a journey that way, but there might be something over there that you've missed. And because we're quite limited, because the original is based on the Spectrum Next architecture, which is a very niche machine in the UK and Europe. And we developed it on parallel between the Spectrum Next and the PC. We've got a PC engine and a Spectrum Next, not PC engine machine, the actual engine on the PC. And we wanted to include as much as we could so that we can bring all those gameplay elements into the game from an early point. And that's where we are now with it, and we're just at the process now of really putting all the levels in and all the extra stuff that adds it, that makes it more special. But you say about zombies, I mean, the zombies we're both big fans of the zombie genre, and I know it's been done 100 times, but this is our little take on it. And we've got like pygmy zombies. We've got great big fat zombies. We've got zombies where you shoot them and their arms will bounce, and then you've got the legs. So if you shoot them, it'll collapse, and you've got to shoot the leg. Heads that will come off, and you can shoot those. We've got zombies that are on fire. So any ideas for zombies?
I'm just curious. So you're saying shooting. So what sort of mechanics do your characters have to work with here? Are we guns, fists?
Yeah.
What else do we have?
And basically, the game starts off, and you've got nothing. You're in these greenlands, and you think there's a few rocks and that about, and there's a few like scorpions and snakes around. And you find a crowbar, and you think, right, I've got the crowbar. So you can go around and smash things with a crowbar. Now, because when we put it in, we thought the players were just going at that all the time, and it was too easy. So we put fatigue on the crowbar, so you can only use it so time, and you have to stop and wait for the energy level to go back up, because it became too easy. And it really worked. It really changed the dynamic. Then you can find a pistol, and you can start shooting things. So you can switch between the two weapons. Later on, you can pick up what we call the blaster, which is a much more like a plasma weapon. And this is when you get further into the game, where it gets a little bit more kind of paranormal, a bit strange. And then we've got like, we haven't put it in yet, but we're working on like a torch, where you can throw the torch down and it will leave a trail of fire, so you can burn things as well. So between those four weapons, we've kind of got a lot of bases covered with terms of gameplay mechanics and the design. So I think if somebody like yourself who loves retro games, we'll send you a build as we go, and you can see it in progress as we go through and finish it. But I'm hoping you'll go, yeah, this is exactly what I like, because this is what we're appealing for, people who love those retro style games from the 80s and 90s.
I love it. I cannot wait to play it. Seriously, when you sent me, because I talk to a lot of different developments. Some are my bag, some are not. And I'm not a big like deck builder fan, and so when I see a game like this, I'm like, oh yes, I'm all in. And you struck a chord with me talking about Akari Warriors, one of my favorite games I had. I played the heck out of that game. Commando, I played the heck out of that game. Contra, of course. Any of those sort of games where there's a lot of action on the screen and you're kind of avoiding, the missiles flying at you, different things happening as you're exploring and trying to move forward. But, you run the risk of being too nostalgic, right? Isn't that the problem for folks like you and I? Like, I'm 48, you're in your 50s. We love these old games. You don't want to make something that's just pure nostalgia. You want to bring it to the future. You want to maybe almost like a love letter to that nostalgia, but you want to bring it to the future so that people can experience these games with a new polish on it. How difficult was that part of it for you, to not just be a pure nostalgia play?
That's a very good question. I would say that we used the nostalgia as part of the ingredients of when we were coming up for this is going to sound so cliche, the recipe of developing the game. So we're drawing in all that stuff that we loved, but we're developing it with a modern kind of view, because we know that there's kids out there who are used to like latest Xbox and PS5 games. Graphics are absolutely mind blowing. But between us, it's the gameplay that's the most crucial thing. Because you think back to like all the old games, the graphics weren't that great. They were pretty
Right.
basic a lot of the time. But it was all in here. The game was played in here, and you're tapping into that. So if someone said that's a zombie, and it's like a single color sprite that just looks like that, in your brain, you're saying, well, that's a zombie. I'm shooting a zombie, because it's like when you read a book, you're tapping into the imagination. So we're trying to use that in the game. And during the game, there is like a pop-up text at the bottom, which will give you information, and there's lots of humor, little bit of dialogue going on. And this is Tony's background, which is adventure games. So you'll be able to, go up to a character and they might say something, and it'll give you a hint, or it will give you a direction somewhere. Likewise, it might give you a direction not to go somewhere, but it's more in the background, so it's not prominent in the actual way the game plays. It's just there to reinforce the whole experience. But I mean, we've had feedback we've shown it publicly a couple of shows, and the first one we showed it at was last year in the UK. And we had a wide age group playing it. And some people thought it was on a Neo Geo or a Mega Drive. They said, this isn't on a Spectrum Next. This isn't on like pixel art. And we said, no, it is. And they said, oh, it's really cool. And we had like kids who were sitting up, and they're like 10, 11, 12-year-olds sitting there playing it. And they literally pick it up and they're playing it. And we thought, this is great. We've got something here, because we play it for ourselves. We're developing to play. If it plays well for us, because we're big retro gamers, then we're hoping that love will be shared with everybody. They'll be able to feel that passion that we're trying to create, and put it into the game. So yeah, it's cool.
That's great. That's great to see like a 10 and 11-year-old pick up a game that I struggle with that with my son, who's now 14, and I try to, my daughter who's 12, she's playing Dragon Quest 2 HD 2D remake. I got her for her birthday, and she's like couple hours into the game now, and she'll come down and be like, Daddy, I just got this thing or this thing, and you like, I sort of gently push them into some games, some classic games, but you don't want to go too far, because then if they play something, they're like, wow, this is Daddy, how did you ever play this stuff? It's like I've kept away from like Atari 2600. I'm like, I just think they'll think like, oh my gosh, Daddy, were you playing games 1,000 years ago? Like, what the heck is this stuff? So it's cool to see like 10 and 12-year-olds picking up these games and actually endearing to them. I was just at the Southern California Retro Gaming Expo, and there's a whole section of the hall where they've got all those consoles set up, and there was a couple of like little kids like sitting at some of those consoles while their parents were doing other things, and they were playing some of those classic Genesis games, and I was really excited about that. I saw some like 8-year-olds like sitting there playing some NES games, Sega Genesis games, and I say, okay, this still holds up.
Yeah, it's for, as developers, for us, it's the best compliment you can get, because how many times have you played a game over the years and you put it into your machine and it plays like a dog, and you think, didn't they play this thing? Didn't they actually sit and put this through QA? I mean, how many times have you done that? It's mind blowing. For us, we plan it all the time. It's continuously. When you're developing something, you're testing and testing and testing and testing. So it's about that hook. And if people can just take the game and go, what do I do? And they pick it up and they move the character, and then they see something. Oh, there's a coin. I'll pick the coin up. That's immediately made it in their head that they've got to pick stuff up. So they, all right, this game I've got to pick stuff up. Then they see a crowbar. All right, I'll pick the crowbar up. Well, I'll push them up and go like that. And then what's the first thing you do? You want to smash things. So you might smash a snake or a scorpion. And also we can smash walls in the game. So there are areas in the game where you can smash bushes and walls and columns, and you can find secret areas. So once you've got the crowbar, you can do that. But it's just tapping into that exploration that a lot of games you don't have, because how many times you play a game and they've got this narration going, telling you what you have to do, and it's
Yeah.
kind of leading you down there, which is great if you just want to sit back and follow the narrative. But if you want to kind of just think, well, where am I doing? What have I got to do here? You want to be able to explore it, and by doing that, you can put key hooks into the game levels where people kind of pick up on it and they go, "Oh, right," because once they've done it, they'll remember it. So for us, as I said, when we see that, it's great to see people pick it up and just playing it and enjoying it.
Have there been any? Well, maybe I'll answer my own question. I mean, one of the games that has like a real retro vibe, but has incredible modern flourishes over it, was a game called Animal Well that came out last year. And I absolutely love this game. And I think it's only like I think it's like 250 megabytes. Like it's so incredibly small that it downloads in seconds. I played it on I think I played it on the PSN Plus or whatever, whatever you pay for with the PlayStation. So I got it for free with that as part of that. But you're right. Like that game for me was phenomenal because of exploration, and there's no hand holding at all. And I think it was just a single developer. And he said for years people are going to be discovering little things that he's hidden in the game, and there's no narration on the screen. You almost don't even know what you're doing, and you have to figure it out yourself. And it was, for me, growing up playing those types of games, it was a total throwback to that experience. Now there's so much hand holding. We give out participation trophies to everyone. So, I love that you're not hand holding people in your game.
Yeah, it's something we don't really. I mean, I say we're in our 50s, so we're still stuck in the 80s and 90s in terms of what makes good games. And for us, it's all about that, not treating people like idiots. Let people work it out for themselves. Give them clues, lead them, say, maybe if you go this way, by planting things in the level designs, but let people learn the way. And then, because once you've done that, um, they'll remember that when they play the game. So then you can build on that. So when you do the later levels, they've got that experience of using the crowbar. They should be a real dab hand at using the crowbar. So you can put in some really tough levels where the crowbar is the best weapon to use. Likewise with the pistol, it's only got limited ammo, and then you have to pick another one up to replenish the ammo. But there might be areas later on there are areas later on where you got to keep an eye on your ammo, because if you go in there all guns blazing, you think, oh no, I've run out of ammo. I've only got my
Right.
crowbar, and then I'm like doing that, and then my energy's going like that. It's like, oh no, I shouldn't have used up all my ammo. And next time I play this level, I'll go in with the crowbar and then use the gun a little bit later. So it's trying to tap into that kind of way of thinking.
What do you
I'm
think
getting
about these
it's yeah.
AAA games? I mean, as a developer, what do you think about these AAA games that come out now and they're just full of bugs? They launch and they're just like you're dealing with this like huge day one patch on a regular basis, and you buy what I'll just say one of my big frustrations as a physical game collector is I buy a game hoping that the full game is on the cartridge or on the disc, and then immediately there's like a 20 gigabyte day one patch with all of these bug fixes. It's super frustrating. But how do you feel as a developer? Do you look askance at that and sort of shake your head?
Um, it's a tough one because the teams who work on these projects are huge. Well, they are. You've got layers of management to manage layers of management, I suppose, in some respects. So, in some, when you look at it, you've got these machines which are hugely advanced architecture. So there are going to be bugs, and I think because the cost of developing a game these days is millions, actually millions and millions of dollars. It's crazy. There are going to be bugs. I mean, back when we were, in like the 80s and 90s, you had a deadline because you had to get the discs duplicated. If you had like floppy disks, I mean, I worked on Cannon Fodder. Tony worked on Beneath a Still Sky. They came on multiple discs. Well, you 9 times out of 10, the publisher would send a courier, a motorcycle courier, up to your office, waiting for you to give him the master disc, so he could then bike it down to the duplicator, and they'd have an order for like thousands of discs to be made. So you had this chain reaction. If so you had to make sure your game didn't have any bugs because there was no patch. So for us, it's like I have sympathy for big teams because there's so many variables put into the mix that it's without a doubt there's going to be bugs coming in. But I think it's a bit bad when you hear stories where games on release and you're sitting there and you think, oh no, I've got to make a cup of tea or a cup of coffee because I've got to wait now for this like 50 gig whatever download. It's like, oh man, it's like,
Right.
really, I've only got an hour before my wife wants to take me shopping. It's like,
Right. This was going to be my gaming hour. Now I've got to
this my
wait for it to
gaming.
download.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
happens to me all the
crazy.
time. Like I get excited about this is my window of opportunity to sit down and play a game, and then it's got a huge download or some issue, and then I go back to playing something else that I was playing that I thought I moved on from. So I hear you on that. So let's talk about physical games. And Stu, I'll get you out of here in a few minutes, but I just have a few more questions for you. I'm just curious about. So physical games. What is your plan for physical releases? Now, I mentioned at the beginning, you guys are building this game on the PlayStation 1, which is incredible to me. You're building it on the Amiga, obviously a PC release, Spectrum architecture as well. So physical releases, like what are you guys examining for that part of the story?
Right. Well, we've got a Kickstarter campaign running live now, which is basically got all the support for the project initially, and we've got on that Kickstarter, we've got big box version of the game. So we've actually got a physical box that you can buy, which will have the game in it, and we've got like a DVD style case if people don't want the big box version. But we're both big fans of big box Amiga games and big box PC games, because there's nothing better than when you buy a game and it's physical and you can open the box, you look at the artwork, you can turn it over, and it's a physical item, and you open it up and you see the manual and you've got the discs in there, and you go, and then it's just it's the overall experience. And that's what we're aiming to do with this. We're going to have a full color manual. We've got the disc in there, the boxes. I mean, the box has all been designed. I've designed the box. If you check out our socials, you'll see all that sort of stuff on there, or the campaign page. And the same when we come to do. I mean, the PS1. You mentioned the PS1 version. That's a very early version. We've got the engine running on that at the moment. That's a future plan for next year, and the Amiga will be a future plan for next year once we get this initial version out of the way. But every version we do, we will be doing a physical release for. There will be digital download, because I know people want to have a digital download, but there are physical versions as well, because we're huge fans of that medium. It's as you know, I mean, you've got a massive collection of games. It's admirable, your collection, but it's lovely to just say, oh, what am I going to play? And yeah, I'll have that one, and then in it goes. You've got the box, and it's just fantastic. So
Yeah.
that's our bag, really. We love physical games.
That's great. No, I can't wait to see the physical of this. I'll have to decide. And I'll have a link. Anyone who wants to back the Kickstarter project, I'll have a link in the description so people can back that. And of course, you can watch tons of game footage on there, and you can look through the different reviews and the different stages. So I was texting you earlier today. You said, you know what, I'm just working on some level flow right now. That's what I'm working on today. That's your weekend project. Where does the game stand right now? How far away do you think you are from release?
We're about 4-5 months from completion on it at the moment.
Wow.
I mean, this is when I said levo flow. This is the sort of thing. I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but this is like the one. This is the area one where you start the game. So as you can, I've scribbled in some little bits here. So there's levels, there's rooms, there's link levels, which are like long corridor levels. So we've got lots of this sort of stuff. So
That's so cool.
So yeah, there's lots of that sort of stuff, and each one of those is actually a physical level in the game. So we've got about 4-5 months of work, and then probably another month for full-on testing to get rid of those nasty bugs and to add any polish. And then we're good to go. And then we'll be starting on the next chapter, which will be the other formats, which we'll be covering, which, like say, PlayStation 1 and Amiga. Which will be in 2026.
What has been some of the biggest bug problems that you've had? Like you've got everything, you've been working on it for weeks, and then suddenly you're playing it, and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened here? Like, is it like a zombie is upside down on the screen? Like, what's a typical bug that's been frustrating for you? You know, I think about my friend John was over at the Happy Console Gamer show. He was telling me, he's like, yeah, when I first started playing Cyberpunk, he's like, I was so frustrated because it just took me out of the game. I was walking down the street. He's like, and there was like a car, a police car or something, upside down, floating in the middle of the screen, just like floating. You know, Cyberpunk had all sorts of problems. What's been the most frustrating bugs for you?
You know what? When you're developing a PC game, the bugs are not necessarily technical bugs with the hardware. It's all kind of logic. and strange things with the engine. Because we're developing it on the Spectrum Next, which is like it's a new old machine. If your audience wants to check out the Spectrum Next, it's a great little machine. It's basically the Sinclair Spectrum, but if they create another version later on. So it's got like bigger palette, it's got hardware sprites, it's got smooth scrolling, multiple layers. It's a great little machine, but it's also got restrictions. So you've only got like, I think it's like 80K of sprite memory or something crazy. So you have to keep banking your graphics in and out of memory continuously. So you can only have so many animations per sprite. But one of the weirdest ones we had was where you collected coins, and the game thought the coin hadn't been collected, but had shown it had been collected. So you'd have like a corner, and you'd collect like a load of coins, and then all of a sudden there'd be the exit bit would be like there, and you'd be going, I can't get out. It's like there's this invisible wall. And Tony thought he'd fixed it, and we took it to a show a few weeks ago and had it on demo. And someone found this bug that we thought we'd fix. And we're going, oh no, you know.
No.
But these are the things. Yeah, it's like really. But I mean, it's good that these shows are great for that, because if someone's going to find a bug, they will find the bug. But yeah, there's some really weird ones. I mean, color. There was one we had which the color palettes were going funny for some reason. We couldn't work out why the colors. I mean, the doors in the game, if you've got like a wall and you've got like a door that needs a key, the surrounding area will be green if it's open, or red if it's locked. And we had one which was shown as purple. It's like, why purple? It's like, you know, it made no sense.
I wonder if there's a way you could incorporate some of this into the game, because it's the Lost City. You know, you're finding these weird things, and there's mysterious invisible coins, or the purple door, you know, that pops up. You know, that's so funny. And some of these bugs, it's like for us, for nostalgia, you know, there's some classic bugs in games that are just there permanently. You know, going back, you know, that never got fixed, and they're somewhat, you know, part of the charm, right? Back in the day, we remember some of those bugs that are part of the charm, you know.
Yeah, there's an old saying certainly in game developers from sort of 10, 20 years ago, or even 30 years ago. Whereas if you could get away with the bug going in, you'd call it a design feature. So it's like, oh, it's a design feature. If it didn't affect the gameplay too much, it's like, no, that's a design feature. So
right. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, my guest has been Stoo Cambridge. The game is called UrbX. About
UrbX
5
Warriors.
months away.
UrbX Warriors.
UrbX Warriors, the Lost City.
Yes.
So you guys, when you say, you don't just say UrbX, you say UrbX Warriors, and
Warriors.
you put you also have to put, because if you're going to release another game, this is the Lost City. This is the first one in the series. So I'm excited to see a whole series come out.
Yes.
UrbX Warriors, the Lost City. Again, I'll have a link in the description to the Kickstarter project, and everyone who wants to go and back that as well. I can't wait to play it and can't wait to see it. So, Stoo, any final thoughts for our audience, for all those retro gamers out there who are excited about indie projects these days? You're shining a light on this and giving us hope that there's, you know, we're going to see more indie projects like this, especially if the community supports it, right?
Totally. I mean, without the support of the community, we wouldn't be doing it. I would say this was a kind of test for us, because if we thought nobody wants to play our game or wants to support it, then we'll finish it, and then we would say that's it. But the response has been great, and the more people support the project, if you don't want to support the campaign itself, that's fine. Just share the page and just big it up for us, because we need all the help we can get. I mean, we're serious about this, and we've even had our own joysticks made with all the artwork on it.
Wow.
You know, and it's got the zombie buttons. You know, so
I love it.
That way. There we go. So yeah, so
That's
we've got
awesome.
these are proper arcade sticks with all the high quality parts, and it's a solid metal case. But we need that support, you know, and this is part we said at the start when you're talking about indie development. This is part of it. It's engaging the community, engaging the very people you're rating the game for, because without the support of these people or the players, you don't have an avenue to channel your creativity and your projects. So, as I said, if people don't want to, you know, they can't fund it or they don't want to put money into it, that's fine, you know, but just share it for us. Just get the word out, because it really, really makes a big difference sharing our posts and that. And it's very much appreciated.
and then
Yeah,
buy the game
yeah,
when it comes
yeah,
out. You know,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
I love supporting indie developers who are putting this passion into it, supporting our hobby and showing it with much love like this. So, Stu, great to meet you. Thank you so much for what you and Tony are doing on this game, and I can't wait to play it.
Thank you, Clayton. I appreciate you having us on. It really means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.